Alright, so it's been a hot minute since I've done a Vanguard video, so let's all take a few minutes and just talk about some general stuff going on in the franchise. This is going to be a very informal, very calm video where I just give my opinion on a few different topics, starting off, of course, with the anime. So, first and foremost, the technical final episode of the Shin prequel was last week, and it was, as it's been with the end of every arc in V-Series, a sort of comedy release, breaking of the fourth wall type, sort of more fun episode. And I'm just going to be straight up honest, this was the worst one. Like, the comedy half wasn't funny, and their attempt at a drama half wasn't effective. So, first and foremost, I did think the idea of older Shin interacting with younger Shin was funny, and I wish that was more than like a minute of the episode. But yeah, so the first half where it's like Eska, who is super rich and runs this super big company, can't get idols for her promotional events. Yeah, that was pretty dumb, so she's got to make Mikaru and Nanami do it. This was just to get, like, a few waifus in cute outfits. That's really all it fucking was, and it really wasn't funny. The thing is that I really don't like it when these idol shows try to be self-aware, where they try to poke fun at the tropes, when they try to be like, see how weird idol culture is, see how weird all the people who are obsessed with us is, see how manipulative and disturbing and creepy every aspect of our lives as idols is and public persona. My problem with this is that, and while I like a lot of self-aware things, the issue when idol shows do it is that they'll address the tropes and they'll address the problems for all of 2 minutes, and then they'll just be it. They'll just do all that creepy, really dumb shit, and then they're just going to kind of expect you to go along with it because they're like, see, we were aware for all of 2 fucking minutes. It's essentially the equivalent of someone punching you in the balls and saying you can't be mad because it was done as a joke. Like, that's essentially what this was, and the problem is that it is being done specifically by an anime that likes idols, that uses idols, that takes advantage of idols, and then takes advantage of you for being interested in the idols. If Bushiroad wasn't so sleazy in this aspect, I think it maybe could have worked. I mean, it still wasn't written very well. All these jokes I've seen a million times before. But, you know, under different circumstances, it could have been better. The biggest problem is that it's this company doing these jokes. The one thing that I did kind of like, it was cool to see Kai, Miwa, and Ibuki, you know, see them as kids, kind of flesh the world out a little bit more. I kind of wish we did see that with the different characters over the course of the Shin prequel. It obviously still worked out, but it would have been nice. But, like, the one joke they were used for was the Miwa thing, and I saw that coming a million miles away. So then you had the second half of the episode, which starts off strong. I thought it was funny, everyone being in complete disbelief that Shin used to be this super cool badass card fighter. Those bits were funny, but the problem is the majority of the episode is Shin talking to Nanami, who hasn't aged in 10 years and can't recognize him, even though he doesn't look that different considering it's been like a decade. But yeah, no, it doesn't really work because I feel like we've gone over this already. I feel like we've already spent time on the idea that he's okay being the card manager. He's okay watching over Masaki and having everyone else around and being the goofy shop manager. And I know we just did this because we just did it for 2 episodes. That was literally the whole point to the Chrono thing. It's literally we see Shin with the context of who he was and what he's now become and how he views life. What is the point to going over it again just with Nanami? It's so stupid, and I really didn't like it, and it just felt like a waste of time. So yeah, we go out on a whimper, and so naturally you'd expect, oh, well, whatever, at least they fixed Chrono, so we can move on to that. Turns out, on to our next topic. So, and Bushiroad announced this a while back, but I was so dumbfounded and so confused as to what it actually was, I didn't want to talk about it till we got clearer context, but seeing as we're not getting that, let's just talk about it. So, The next season of Vanguard, we all assumed would be Chrono and the gang, because, they're kind of shipping out all the Chrono-esque product. We all assumed it was that. Turns out, it is called Cardfight Vanguard Extra Story IF, and it's about Ibuki and Suiko going to another dimension, and Emmy is a magical girl. What the fuck was somebody smoking? Alright, so look. Anything can be good. Anything, if done correctly, can work out. I have said that several times before, and we've been surprised several times before. The whole Cardfight Vanguard V-Series has run on the fact that we're all going, oh shit, this is actually good, and I like this. But that being said, this is a really fucking stupid idea. The premise alone is so fucking dumb. Like, the thing is that why would you want a Vanguard season told from the perspective of 3 side characters? And yes, you can make the argument, well, we just had a whole prequel about a side character. The difference is that with the Shin prequel, there is interesting ideas to explore with the concept of him raising young Masaki. There was a story there, and they went and they explored it and did interesting things with it. Also, you already played the card of a side character season, so why would we want to see it again, especially with these 3? Like, what is the point to any of these characters? Especially doing this? Like, another dimension without Vanguard, and, like, Emmy is a magical girl! Alright, so to give the actual legit reason why this is a bad idea, is that, what people like about the Vanguard anime, what attracts people to it, and what keeps them going, is that it's a drama. It's that it's about these kids who have real world issues and real problems who just happen to be connected by card games. That is what people like about it. They like the groundedness. They like the set in the real world element to it. That is what attracts them to it. So, and of course, naturally, the end of each arc has some supernatural shit. You know, the stuff everyone's hated. So why would you then just get rid of all that and do this weird shit about a dimension without Vanguard when the whole premise to how your world works is that Vanguard is just a thing that's in it? It's not the defining factor of the world. Why? Why do this? What is the point to it? I do not understand why Bushiroad is obsessed with shoving this aspect of the anime down our throats. I don't understand why they have to constantly bring back these supernatural aspects that are not liked, don't add anything to the story. Like, it's like this idea that they want us to view Vanguard a certain way because they just want to compete with Yu-Gi-Oh! Instead of just doing their own thing, when doing their own thing is what works. Like, they have to be aware. They have to know that the things we actually like about Vanguard is those things I've already mentioned, that it's that aspect to it. There is no way they've gone a decade and haven't noticed this. There's no way they greenlit V-Series and then greenlit Shinemon and then let them be those dramas, keeping the supernatural aspects to a minimum. There's no way they didn't know this. What is this? What is the point to this? Again, we'll judge the first episode when it comes out. I believe it's been delayed due to the coronavirus outbreak. But when it comes out, we'll talk about it. And we'll judge it fairly. And maybe it'll all work out. Like, that happens. But as of right now, I genuinely cannot see how this is a good idea. So yeah, that is anime stuff. Just 2 quick notes. We're obviously going a little bit on time here. So Cardfight Vanguard 0 comes out tomorrow, at least as of the time of this recording. And I think this is a good move. From what I've seen of this game, it is fun, it's a creative, different format. The idea that the characters, it's sort of all of you hanging out in a house together is nice. Obviously, gonna get me and Masaki some alone time. It's cool to see the original effects return, the original artworks return. All of that is really cool. The big thing that has people split, though, is that there's no triggers in the game, and you assign triggers to your grade 3s. I'm actually okay with this because I feel like that adds a different level of strategy to things. I think it's sort of cool, this idea that you can go up against two Royal Paladin decks and they've assigned their triggers differently, and that changes how the whole game is played. I think there's a lot of cool elements to that, and I really want to see how that sort of develops. Like, I remember when Duel Links came out, I really didn't like the idea that, oh, it's 3 zones, it's one less card in the hand, the decks are so much smaller. But it's been interesting to see how Duel Links has evolved and how its format has changed. And I'd like to see that here, especially because they're doing creative and more interesting things that to me are more interesting than what they do in Duel Links. So I'm actually really excited for Zero, and considering it might be a little bit till we get another anime episode, who knows? Maybe after I've had some time to fool around with it, I'll do a video on it, talk about what I like and don't like. But that's a little ways away. And finally, our last subject, which is also a little ways away, let's talk about order cards. So, starting with the next rounds of trial decks, we will have order cards. These are basically Vanguard's version of spell cards. And you know what? I'm kind of for it. Obviously, the rules are, there are ones you can use during the guard step, there's ones you use during your turn, but you have to be at that grade or higher to use them. And you know what? It's a cool idea. Because the thing is that Vanguard's big problem, in my opinion, besides the fact that Bushiroad exists, is that they have this tendency of the formats get very linear. The way the decks get played get very linear. Like, there isn't a ton of customization, at least not in the same way other card games have it. And so therefore, a lot of times creativity and strategy feels very limiting. It feels very restricting. Like, there's not the same sort of thought and creativity there are in other card games. And I know a lot of people have done theory videos. I know there's a lot to Vanguard strategy, but to me, it's just not always as entertaining as I'd like it to be. But I think adding the order cards and adding this new level of strategy to it is a really good idea. Adding this added element of you can change things, the nature of the game, with spells, that you have ones that can add cards, one that helps with shield and guard, I think is a really cool idea. I think it's an interesting direction to take the game. I think it is something I think we could have used for a while. I really like it, and I think it's a super cool idea, and I can't wait for it to get here. So see, I ended the video off on a positive note. But yeah, give me your thoughts on all this below. Maybe you thought that Shin episode was the funniest thing ever. That's totally fine. Maybe you think Vanguard If is a really cool idea. That's totally great. We'll talk about that in the future. But yeah, give me your thoughts on Zero. Give me your thoughts on order cards. All this different stuff. I want to keep this casual. I want to keep this fun. So yeah, that's all my thoughts on that stuff. And as always, click to like and click to subscribe and join me for either some If reactions, if that ever gets here, or some Zero content. And oh god, I don't like the idea of Magical Girl Emmy at all.